Why gunpowder matters when the world is dead. Alright, welcome to the wasteland. If you're still here, you're one of the few unlucky souls left. And if you're watching this, we might just be in this hellhole together. The world is dead, in case you haven't noticed. Power's gone, the streets are empty, and chaos reigns. Now, why gunpowder? You're probably wondering that. Look around. The cities are rubble, the skies are gray, and the last thing you need is to sit around wondering if anyone else survived. Communication's a joke. But you see, gunpowder, that's not just for blowing stuff up. It's for making something a whole lot more useful, a radio. You think a DIY radio's crazy? Try listening in on the chaos for once. It's the only connection you might have left. So, grab your gear, if you still have any, and let me show you how I managed to make a radio from the scrap heap of the dead world. You'll need it. Trust me. And no, this isn't a tutorial for fun. It's survival. Scavenging and first experiments. A messy hunt for ingredients. Here's the thing about scavenging. It's not glamorous. You're not just picking through piles of dusty books hoping for a hidden treasure. No, you're digging through old electronics, trying to find the most random stuff that still works. I mean, I wish it were as easy as finding a shiny new gadget, but no. The apocalypse didn't leave much behind. Now, first thing I had to get was copper wire. The stuff? You can use it for just about anything in a post-apocalyptic world. But did I find any? Of course not. I ended up prying old cables out of destroyed radios in a burned-out convenience store, and, get this, there was nothing. But after hours of scouring, I found a few scraps of copper and an old tin can. You know what they say, desperate times, desperate measures. So I rigged up a crude coil. First disaster? That coil caught fire. Who would have thought? But that's the beauty of experimentation, right? Sometimes, things blow up in your face. Literally. But I kept going. A little fire, some burns on my hands, nothing that couldn't be dealt with in a world where bandages are made of ripped-up t-shirts. Anyway, once I had the coil, it was time to find the real treasure, the crystals. Those precious little pieces that would let me turn this hot mess into an actual receiver. The trick? I had to find a spot where I could scrounge up some galena, an old-school crystal. A bit of a weird thing to be searching for in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, but when you've got nothing left, you get creative. The long build, step-by-step chaotic storytelling of making the power. Now, we're talking about the real grind. Forget the glamorized science fiction stuff. This wasn't some flashlight radio from a movie. This was me, a bit of junk, and a whole lot of trial and error. First, I started grinding up a bit of the gunpowder. You remember the gunpowder I scavenged, right? This wasn't some random stash. The right mix? Critical. But let me tell you, getting that ratio perfect was a nightmare. I nearly lost my eyebrows once trying to get the powder to mix with some old battery acid I found in a wrecked car. The spark was so big I thought I was going to end up cooking myself alive. But here's the fun part. As I ground it down, I knew the basic recipe. Saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal. Oh, I know, sounds like chemistry class, but in this new world, this is what you have to do to survive. No fancy labs, no safety gloves, just bare hands and the most dangerous concoction you could imagine. After an absurd amount of trial, I finally got the formula working. The static on the radio faded, then nothing. For a long while, there was nothing. But then a faint whimper, a small, static crackle, and I could hear it. The first bits of sound in days. It was a signal. Barely a whisper, but it was there. And that was the moment I realized. The powder, the static, it was all working. Science and survival. The gritty science breakdown woven into the madness. So, what's actually going on here? You really want to know? I mean, it's not all just about mixing stuff together and hoping for the best. There's actual science behind this madness. You see that radio receiver? It's all about crystals and tuning. Electrons moving through the material, sending signals. We're talking about radio waves. Not magic, but it might as well be. Now, while I was scouring for crystals, I kept thinking about something. Why the hell does this even work? Galena, a lead ore, naturally conducts electricity. So when I attached it to the coil, I was essentially creating a crystal detector. You know what that means? I was making my very own radio from scratch. One piece of galena, one coil, and boom. Instant receiver. But I didn't stop there. The moment I got a bit of signal, I started tweaking. The theory was simple. Adjust the coil, change the resistance, and maybe, just maybe, tune into something useful. And after hours of fiddling with makeshift tools and burnt fingers, I found the right frequency. That sound? That crackle? Yeah, it was weak. But in a world this dead, weak, is all we got. I was listening to someone else's misery, someone else's survival. And that was everything. A tiny victory. Cliffhanger. Leaves viewers gasping for the next part. Here's the twist. I thought the signal was just a fluke. A one-time thing. But it wasn't. Every night, I'd listen, waiting for that familiar crackle. Then one night, something changed. There was a voice. A real voice. I barely caught it. It was muffled, distorted, but it was there. Hello? Is anyone out there? And I froze. For a moment, it was like I was back in the world, before the end. Before everything went to hell. I could hear it, a human voice. Not just static, not just noise. A real, living, breathing person. But then, suddenly, the signal cut out. Just like that. Was it real? Was it another survivor? Or was I just chasing ghosts, in the rubble of the old world? But I wasn't about to stop. The radio was my lifeline. My only thread to humanity. And whoever was out there, I'd find them. If I had to rebuild this damn thing 1,000 times. So stay tuned. This isn't over yet.